and this is going to be quite loud, Luke.
Here it is, the F-16 Fighting Falcon. And beginning its performance in a fashion that not only that we can see, hear, but also feel.
Yes, and going straight into its next pass, coming in from the left already. Major Maciej Krakowian, call sign Slab, he's now in his second year as the Tiger Demo team pilot. Half a century ago, the F-16 took to the air for the first time. That first flight occurred unexpectedly during a high-speed taxi test when the aircraft lost control. That was seen by some skeptics at the time of proof that the F-16's revolutionary fly-by-wire technology was not fit for purpose, but the following year the jet would silence its critics with a spellbinding display at the Paris Air Show, and it has been entertaining us ever since.
The F-16 would go on to become the most produced fourth-generation fighter in the world. And while those early A and B models are now being phased out, at least here in Europe, newer variants are still on the production line. And this is a jet, Adam, that I think that we'll continue to enjoy at air shows for many years to come.
Absolutely. Not least because these ones are pretty new, and when they were introduced about 15 years ago, they were the most advanced F-16s in NATO.
Adam, we were talking a bit about the two-seat D model. It appears this one is indeed a single-seater, a C model F-16. But one thing that certainly stands out for me that I don't see very often are the CFTs, the conformal fuel tanks.
Yes, this is a way of increasing the aircraft's range by about 40% while carrying a fairly minimal performance penalty. More common are underwing external stores, but they carry a much higher level of induced drag. These CFTs carry 50% more fuel than a centerline tank, for example, and introduce only 12% as much drag, and unlike a centerline tank, it doesn't affect the F-16's maximum load factor, which stands at 9G.
9G, of course, the aircraft is limited to with its fly-by-wire flight control system. The airframe itself rated, I've read, upwards to about 17 Gs.
And as you pointed out yesterday, to help the pilot withstand that G, their seat is reclined 30 degrees backwards. Poland came to acquire the F-16 in the early 2000s. The country badly needed to modernize its Soviet-era Air Force, and an aggressive three-way competition ensued, pitting the F-16 against the Jas-39 Gripen and the Mirage 2000. The F-16 was the victor, and in Polish service it is known as the Jastrob, which translates as hawk. Poland operates a total of 48 aircraft, equipping 3 squadrons. They were delivered between 2006 and 2008, and as I said earlier, at the time of their delivery, they were the most advanced F-16s in NATO. They have now been superseded by the F-16Vs, deliveries of which have now commenced to the Hellenic Air Force.
It's F-100-229 afterburning engine producing just a little over 29,000 pounds of thrust, and we are feeling every single pound of thrust in this very aggressive display here at Leszno.
We are. It is shaking the building. Lovely on-crowd, loaded roll, creating a spiral pattern of flares in the sky there. And you can hear perhaps a cacophony of car alarms going off in the background. Well, it wouldn't be an air show if that didn't happen at some point. So we're approaching the low-speed, high-alpha pass. Little bit of burner on the way in. We saw that during the Thursday practice show, actually, as well. And then after this pass, we'll be seeing the aircraft going into a muscle climb, and at the start of the climb, quite a big release of flares, probably the biggest single flare release of the performance. Kind of ended up with a hybrid display here, a mix of the American and European styles. Originally, Tiger demo team very closely mirrored the Viper demo team from the US Air Force.
That's right.
They were trained by the Greeks, who were in turn trained by the Americans, hence the influence. This year, Slab introducing a refreshed display sequence. He's been very keen on some of the manoeuvres performed by the Belgians and the Danish, for example. Can't reflect some of those manoeuvres with the CFTs on, as there is that small manoeuvrability penalty. Accompanied by pyrotechnics on the ground.